New information on one of the biggest stories of the year. Iran takes a key step in fulfilling the requirements of a nuclear deal with the West. So a Russian ship leaving Iran Monday carrying most of the country's stockpile of enriched uranium, apparently leaving Iran with too little fuel to manufacture a nuclear weapon. So what does it mean for the nuclear deal, which is close to taking effect? Joining us now to discuss it is Rick Brunel, former advisor to 4 U.S. ambassadors to the UN and a Fox News contributor. Nice to see you, Rick.
Leah, you too. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. So this is part of the Russia-Iran accord under the deal. So I guess that we're supposed to all feel much better now that this uranium is in the hands of the Russians.
Well, look, I'm very skeptical at this point, and the Washington Post reporter and the New York Times reporter are not skeptical. They believe John Kerry. I confirmed this morning with sources in Vienna that the IAEA still has not said that they have verified and inspected the ship that it actually contains enriched uranium. The deal says that they have to remove all their enriched uranium. Now, we have a couple of issues here. One, we have never verified how much the Iranians have started with. So when they come forward and they say they only have X amount, we've always trusted that amount as the real amount. We've never verified on military sites and other sites that that amount is the accurate amount. It's the same with centrifuges. They say they have 10,000 centrifuges. We don't know if that's true, but that's the number we're using. So when they remove 10,000 centrifuges, we'll say they got rid of all of them. That's a problem. We need verification. So when the Iranians announce that they have removed uranium via a Russian ship, and then the Russians say, yep, it's in there, we have removed it all, and John Kerry then jumps up and down and says, we are excited that this has been done, and then the Washington Post and the New York Times jump on board. All the while, the IAEA has never come forward to say, we inspected the ship, we verified that this is not just any old uranium, that this is the actual enriched uranium, and here's the amount. We don't know that.
So we can't just trust the Russians on this, I guess is what you're saying. So listen, this ship allegedly is carrying 25,000 pounds of nuclear material. Secretary Kerry says that this brings the breakout time up from 2 to 3 months to 6 to 9 months. And of course, under the conditions of the deal, that needs to come up to a year. How exactly should the IAEA be verifying this information?
Well, look, from the beginning, I was at the Security Council for 8 years. From the very beginning of this whole mess problem with the Iranians, the #1 issue was that the IAEA couldn't have unfettered access to all of the sites in Iran. That was the whole problem in 2006, 2007. The reason why we were putting sanctions on the Iranians is because they would not allow the IAEA to just freely inspect. Well, guess what? They're still not freely inspecting. So the fact that we have U.S. officials and working with the Iranians and working with Russians to tell us, yep, it's all in that ship and we removed it, I don't believe it. And it's never been verified. And by the way, the Iranians and the Russians' history of lying is long. We should be skeptical. We should not even trust, and we should actually verify.
And meantime, Iran is basically saying that this is not really them giving up uranium, it's actually a fuel trade because they're actually receiving uranium as well, right?
Correct. They're saying it's just a swap, and we're supposed to then say, well, the Iranians have to say that for domestic political purposes, so we're winking and nodding that they're actually lying to their people and telling us the truth even though we haven't verified it. One more point, Leah. Over the last several weeks, the Iranians have violated this agreement with testing of a missile and violating the travel ban. Not only is this a fact, but our representative at the UN, Samantha Power, actually issued a statement and said, the Iranians are cheating, the Iranians are cheating, somebody do something. To which most people were saying, gee, I wish that the U.S. ambassador to the UN would actually do something. She hasn't done anything other than issue a statement.
Yeah, in the meantime, the Iranians have been expressing anger over a new law that curtails visa-free travel. They're basically saying that this would amount to a new sanction. So can we expect Iran to basically say, well, now you're sanctioning us, so you've broken the deal?
Right. Well, that's what they are saying, is because we have this visa requirement that if anyone has visited Iran or Syria or some other place where they certainly have been harboring and supporting terrorism, that we have some sort of concern. So if you visited those countries in the last X amount of days, we are going to put a hold and say you can't come into the United States. We have every right to do that. That is not confronted in this Iran deal. But look, the Iranians have us on the run. John Kerry is giving them everything they've asked for. They don't have to open up for unfettered access or verification of what they're saying is true. So why not ask for more? I mean, I suspect that the Iranians are going to come forward and ask us for a whole bunch more.
Well, it's a game that they've been playing for many, many years, and roughly $100 billion in Iranian assets that were frozen will become available to them once this deal goes fully into effect. Rick Grinnell, thanks so much for your time today.
Thanks, Leah.